What's up, everybody? It's Brittany with Free Lady. How's it going, you guys? Happy Monday. I'm so happy to be here. You guys get just me tonight. I am so excited to tell you my journey last week of what I was reborn into, my friends. Like, talk about what it really means to be free. So, again, thank you for being patient of waiting for this episode to come out tonight because they usually come out in the morning, but my brain was fried last week. So, I'm actually kind of glad I get to do this episode with you. I haven't been on just by myself in a while, and I think it's really important to share what's going on with me. So, I was supposed to interview my nutritionist Taryn Perry, and she will be on next Monday's episode. I'm really excited to have her on, you guys. She is an holistic nutritionist. She is so educated, and she's just so rad. So I'm really excited to have her. I was supposed to have her interviewed last week when I came back in, and I was like, girl, my brain is fried in a good way. So, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm very excited to share my story. And let's talk about three things we're grateful for. I am very, very, very grateful that I have a new partner in my life. And that episode will be touched on. I hope that we could do this episode together and we get to talk about our experience and how we met. So I'm very thankful for my partner. If you're watching, I love you. So he's just such a beautiful man. I'm so excited to have him in my life. And what a journey it's been so far. Number two, I am very grateful that I get to have really quality time with my clients, my friends, my family, and it's just beautiful. The quality time that you share with people goes so deep into our hearts. And thirdly, I'm really grateful for the connections I've made through the first women's event in the Lion's Den that I attended last week. It was mind blowing, you guys. So that's what we're going to talk about. So last week, my trip started in California. I went to California. I arrived on Saturday night and I went to my best friend's 40th birthday party and I surprised her, and it was just fabulous. And thank goodness they all took the time because there's like five of us girls that we've been best friends for 25, 30, whatever years. And we really got to have quality time together last Sunday. And the first event that I would like to talk about was one of my best friends got me an early birthday present, and we did a full moon meditation. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have ever done that. It was so cool. Now, I've been meditating for a lot of years, and it definitely has helped me focus on being present, being patient, and just really knowing how to listen to others. I highly recommend it. If you need help, please reach out. There's so many things that you can meditate with. You could do this on YouTube. You can do this with Headspace. You can do this on the Peloton, actually, if you are a Peloton um, workout person like I am right now. I'm very grateful for that too. That's number four, but whatever. We can be grateful for a lot of things, right? So there's so many guided meditations that you can do. And I promise you, it'll change your life. So I've always wanted to do a moon meditation, and it was a full blood moon. So it was like really awesome. I got to do that in Ojai, California. And if you've ever been there, that place is very, very spiritual in itself. There's a lot of spiritual grounds there, and we got to meditate in this labyrinth. So it was up high in the mountains, and I thought, I was going to just be super calm and like relaxed, and it was warm out, and we're outside, like meditating outside, y'all. It's a good one. And then she used singing bowls to do our meditation. We got to write down a lot of things that maybe we or were struggling with, or what our intent was in this meditation. It's really always a great idea if you can have an intention with what you want to meditate to. And so we all kind of shared some stories, and it was very beautiful how people were vulnerable and opened up. And so then we meditated. And so a lot of this time we meditated laying down in Shavasana, which is a yoga pose. It's the yoga pose that you do at the end of class where you really get to just unwind and practice what you just learned. So I gotta tell you, full moon meditation, I felt like there was so much energy in my body I didn't know what to do with. Like I kept wanting to like pulse my body like this and just like tensed up because there was so much energy pulsing through my body that it was not relaxing, but it was a different kind of feeling. And I've never gotten this feeling before. And then all of a sudden, I just feel this bright light because we started at sunset. And I kind of just opened my eyes and looked over, and this big giant moon was coming up over the mountains. It was so beautiful. It was radiant. It had energy. You can see the energy vibrating around it, I swear to God. It was so neat, and I got to do this with my best friend and her husband to be, and it was just so special to do it with them and talk about how we felt at the end. Like, we all were like, "There's so much energy, we feel so much love." We felt like our cups were just full, and it was just really, really spiritual. You just really feel like you're connected and to God closer than ever. So that was such a wonderful experience. So Monday, I flew into Salt Lake City, Utah, and on Tuesday was the first women's event hosted by Saxony Whalen through the women's through the Lion's Den. That is Sean Whalen's baby. If you don't know him, um, look him up, look Saxony Whalen up. She's such a spiritual gangster, and they have been beautiful coaches of mine. They have helped me create this, and just really have broken me down to be a better person and to find out what I'm really passionate about, and how I want to grow my business and who I want to be spiritually and how I want to take care of my body. And that goes with Core 4. So if you want to know what Core 4 means and what Sean Whalen's all about, you can buy his book. You can get it right on Amazon. But Saxony is just, she's a beautiful light. She's a ray of light that just warms your heart when you're around her. So I got there on Monday, and I got to spend a lot of time with my partner, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful journey that we got to experience through conversation and just being present with each other. Again, that's another story, y'all, because I really want to have him on here and we can talk about it together. Yeah, our relationship's going to be out here in the public, but I do find it very inspirational. And I do really believe the story of how you start a relationship, or how this relationship started, was so beautiful. We have to share it because it is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. He makes me feel like I'm at home. So I just, it's crazy. It's like so good. So we enter Tuesday morning. I went to work out like at 6 a.m., which I don't do, you guys. That was so early, but I really wanted to test myself to see if I can go work out early and prep for the day. And so it really started with talking about feminine and masculine energy and what that means in a relationship. So we talked about like what it means to be in your feminine energy while you're with your partner, really respecting your partner's masculine energy, vice versa, whatever kind of relationship you are in. You want to respect like how we were born and what we are meant to do for each other and how you create boundaries. And I realize I'm like, I have never created boundaries in my relationship. Have you? So I am working with another coach who's going to help me think about that more clearly and what that means and what that looks like. Um, I know that it just basically means like, I don't like this, I don't want that, and I do want to grow like this. So, but to actually write it down to see what that looks like is so important. It's just like a couple months ago, I wrote down exactly what I wanted in a partner because I feel like it's really important to write it down. If you don't know how to write it down or you can't, you're not ready to have your partner in your life. Because with boundaries and making lists and writing them on paper, you really get to go inside yourself and see what you actually want. And it's a beautiful thing because our minds are going, 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 going. So in the moment, we're like, yes, I want that. Yes, I want that. But like it can get lost in our minds. So writing it down gives us more of a purpose. And when we are dating, for example, we know that list. We're going to stick to it because yes, you deserve everything you want. With your boundaries, writing them down, you're going to recognize those things as each situation comes up for you with yourself in your relationship. So that was like a very beautiful thing. And because honestly, you guys, I definitely feel like there is a war on masculinity, which also means there's a war on femininity too. And what I mean by that is men like are not really taught how to be men anymore. Women, raise your hand. I know you're raising your hand with me. There's a lot of podcasts going on about this. And it's just the fact that men have everything too easy, which makes a woman want to be even more masculine because we're dealing with men who are in their childlike minds. And if you don't understand that, please ask because I don't need to get into that as much because I have so much to talk about. But I really feel like to be in your feminine energy is to be and to be present and to do more of who you are. To be in your masculine energy, the men are supposed to be doers. They're our decision makers. We're the foundation to our men. And we want to respect that they are men and encourage that because they are the ones that are going to protect us. Ladies, do we need to learn how to protect ourselves? Absolutely. Absolutely. But our men are also our protectors, and we need to embrace that beautiful masculinity that men are. Um, for example, I definitely notice that I have been very masculine in a lot of my relationships because that's all I knew. It's all I knew was to protect myself, that I had to take care of myself, and no one was going to do it for me. And as I look back on my relationships, I dated a lot of men that acted like children and didn't know how to take care of themselves. So here I am trying to take care of them, which turns it into a very mothering relationship. And I definitely recognize that in the last relationship I was in. Thank God that one didn't work out because, girl, no. Oh, but anyways, I learned a lot. And looking back on that one and past relationships, I was very mothering. I was like, okay, like maybe you should do and there's a difference of like this, or hey, what do you think about this? We need to be nurturing more than mothering. And so things that I say in my new relationship, I kind of even is that mothering or is that nurturing? But it still makes me think and I'm vulnerable about it. I speak my truth. I ask my partner these things like, does this feel mothering? Does this feel nurturing? And, so I can learn from him as well through the thoughts that I'm thinking. So it's an incredible shift to be in my feminine energy and to be nurturing. And that's, who I've always felt in my heart, and to have someone that loves me for that, that respects me for that, I just feel more free. I feel like I'm in my place where I need to be in my life, and it's amazing. We also talked about sex, of course. That's very important in a relationship, and it's very important to be vulnerable with your partner when it comes to those things. And to ask questions and not be afraid to ask questions with your partner or with yourself, and being free, because everybody has sex, guys. Okay. My family is watching this. Sorry, but this is real. It's a very intimate connection that we get to have with our partners. And so it was really beautiful to hear women talk about, their sexuality with their partners, and how they enhance their lives with their partners and feel comfortable, because it really comes down to this. There was a big, big thing going on throughout the whole weekend, or the whole 2 days, because it was a 2-day event. The next day was the normal fly-in for the Lion's Den, which is men and women. But the first day was the women. And a lot of women talked about how they did not love themselves completely. And Saxony and her friends were up there talking about the best moment in their relationship and continues is when both people love each other. They love themselves. They can look in the mirror and be like, hell yeah, I'm a badass motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to take that journey of loving who you are, loving everything about you. And if you have to give a high five in a mirror and talk to yourself, do it. I'm starting to practice that myself. Put post-it notes on your mirror to inspire you to change your mentality to love yourself, because you can never fully love somebody else if you don't love another, because you are not you. You're somebody else. Fact. Fact, 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 fact. So it's really beautiful to hear all these stories with women and their partners, and even single people, and just watching all these women open up to like what they were struggling with. So I encourage you, if you ever want to be a part of something amazing, the women's event hosted by Saxony, it was just great. And if there's other groups out there that want to make you a better person, an all female group or events, do it. I highly recommend it. At the end of our day, I'm sure there was many things that's going through my mind right now. But I love to be raw and open with you guys. So this is me being extremely raw and coming from the heart. We got to work with Jen, who is AKA on Instagram. I will have it below in the comments, called That Breathe Work Girl. Now, I'm going to try to get an event out here and bring her out here in Colorado, because once I started talking about this particular moment, I have posted it all over my Instagram. If you've probably have seen it, it was freaking life-changing. Now, with breathe work, I'm like, I probably have done that before with meditation. Girl, no, I have not. I have not. I have not. So she really focuses on what we were doing. So first of all, what we were doing, we were setting an intention of what we wanted to let go of and forgive ourselves. So for me, I was growing up being body shamed. I've been told I was fat by my mom. I've, just, and it's not a good feeling. So I've always like lived this life that I was fat. And I know I'm not fat. I love my curves. I got boobs and an ass and like muscular thighs. I love that, but it took me a long time to get there. But sometimes, and a lot of the time, still to this day, if I don't work out or if I don't eat perfect, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be fat. It's a true story. So I went into that intention knowing that if I don't do those things, I'm going to be okay, because I'm never going to not eat good, and I'm never not going to not work out. I'm never not going to take care of myself. I want to take care of myself because I honor myself and I am worthy of everything that comes into my life because I take care of myself. So I went into that with that intention. So basically, for 30 minutes, we breathed through our abdomen to our chest, and then we breathed out with our mouth. It can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want, but it's very vocal. Excuse me. And as you're lying down with 30 women, you're hearing all the vocals as they're breathing. It almost sounded like people were having sex because it was such a release. It was a connection of spirit. It was a connection to God. It was just a deep connection to another realm in your life. I'm not joking. So when we got into it, she said beforehand, like our hands might cramp up, we might feel vibrations, our face might cramp up, like our mouths might cramp up into a very small hole. And you're just going to feel all these things. And I was like, yeah, okay, you know. So I'm listening to all these women and it was so beautiful. It was so empowering. And I was calm. I was calm. I was calm. I was calm for a long time. And then I started, you know, just like at the full moon meditation where I just had to like press out my energy. I don't know if that makes sense to you because like you can't really see what I'm doing, but I wanted to press out my energy. It was like a force that was in my body that was so strong, that was stronger than me. And I was like, okay, whoa, whoa. And from my root chakra to my head chakra, I started to get super tingly and super vibrational. And then I was like becoming numb. Like I was like in another, I felt like I was on another planet. I felt like I was in a new space I've never been in. It was uncomfortable, but comfortable at the same time. But I just like, I kept like convulsing. I would have these shakes and I was like, dude, what the fuck's going on? Right. So someone came up to me and touched my head. And then all these emotions just came like pouring out. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it was just like something in my body, something in my soul completely shifted and shifted and shifted and was bursting out with my feminine energy and who I am. And so, as we started to open our eyes and come and have a moment, a lot of people couldn't sit up right away, including me, because people were bawling. They were releasing what had just happened. They were releasing this growth that they just grew into. And it was so beautiful. And I was in fetal position for a long time, just like, holy shit, you know, like my body, I felt like I was reborn. As I sat up, then I just started bawling and bawling and bawling. Everyone, if you could, you know, we wanted to hug each other. And I'm such a big hugger, you guys. I hug with intention. I hug with passion. I want you to feel my energy and I want to feel yours and I want to feel connected. It's very, very important to me, the human connection, because it's powerful. If you haven't hugged someone real long, like not just like, hey, bro, you know, give them a hug and feel it. And I promise you, it will give you light. So I'm sitting there with my hands over my eyes, just like crying. I know I should be hugging somebody, but I needed a hug. I needed a hug. And my friend, she just looked at me and she came over to me and she put her forehead on my forehead. And it was so beautiful. And she hugged me for like, I swear to God, it felt like an eternity. It felt like 10 minutes, you know, or I kind of backed off like one time and which is not like me. And she just kept hugging me and hugging me. And she's like, you're so beautiful. It's so, you're okay. You're okay. And then everyone kind of shared their stories and everyone broke free from something. Everybody shifted. And my other friend that I made, she was lying next to me. She actually did not come to for about 15 more minutes. You know, we were touching her feet and her hands and her head, and she was like, you can see the angels working on her. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then when she came to, you know, she was like, I've never felt so close to God in my life. It was so beautiful. Like, ah, I'm getting emotional about it right now. It's such a beautiful experience to do this and to do this with women. And with me, when I sat up, I had a totally different intention. And I knew that I was enough. I don't need to be any different. I don't need to change for anybody. if I want to enhance myself to be a better person, absolutely. But I know I'm enough and I am ready to do this life for me and with my partner. I was enough. And it was so beautiful to share that. But when I was sharing what I went through, I was talking about this energy and how my hands cramped up and my face cramped up and I was just like convulsing and with all this spirit. And I just said how beautiful that was. And it was so beautiful to do this with everybody. And then as I sat there, I got to reflect more. And that's when I knew I'm enough. I'm enough. Do you look at yourself that way? Do you love yourself completely and fully? And if you don't, how can I help you? How can I help you get into that place? And if I can't help you, I have so many other women that can. So please reach out to me if you are struggling in that way of how you look at yourself. So the next day, well, actually that night, I got to talk to my partner because my partner is part of the Lion's Den too, which is fabulous, you guys. I mean, getting to do this with your partner, and being on the same level, being on the same page, and like wanting to level up with somebody, like I wanted this. I was hoping that like my person we would be a part of the same community, the same family I was in, because it's just been so life changing. And so I got to talk to him about everything I experienced that day, but also got to talk about us and how we were like, hell yeah, we're doing this. So it was the first time we ever, talked about like, we're going to be in this relationship and we're going to do whatever it takes. So that was really, really cool. So the next day with her flying, Sean never really goes into it with a schedule. He just kind of goes off in different ways and something comes out. It was really great to have Greg Anderson there. If you don't know who he is, I will put him in the link. He is a freaking badass. He has lived in the jungle. He's so spiritual. He knows so much about the body inside and out and meditation and self-discovery and just he's amazing. So he does a lot of guided meditations in our group and they are wonderful. It's definitely a wonderful thing to learn from him. So he really got to talk about a lot of those things and talk about who he is and it was great to hear from him. So, and then Sean, came in and we just talked about all things in life. Drawing a blank right now of how it started. But the purpose of that day was to write down one sentence, very, very clear of what you needed help with. A lot of times when we're writing down stuff, it's like, well, I need this and because blah, 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 and I feel this way. And, I do it too. It's very fragmented. And we needed to have something that was very clear. So someone went up there and it wasn't clear. And she was kind of what made our whole day go around that. Talking about getting deep with yourself, getting deep with that one question, getting deep with it being one sentence. And it was beautiful because I know it was really hard for her to be the guinea pig of a fragmented sentence, but at the end of the day, she had a sentence, but Sean broke her, in the best of ways, in the best of ways. And he broke me too that later that day, which I am going to talk about, which is very, very vulnerable for me to talk about. And I know a lot of women and men struggle with this. But another cool thing happened. So we have a call every week with the core four, and it was passion, which is relationships. And he's like, I have a call today. And I want all the couples to come on and talk about this in front of 2,500 people, give them tips on relationships. He said, raise your hand. So I looked at my partner and I was like, I know I could feel my arm over here raising, but like it was kind of one of those things where it was so crazy. And like the world was giving us permission everywhere we went, and the world was giving us permission that day. And Sean caught it and he was like, hey, what the hell's going on here? So my partner told a story and he's like, y'all better raise your hands. So, and then like other questions were asked of him, and yeah, we were put on the spot and it was like super great. And so we got to share, with other people. There was a couple in there, Scott and Ann Travis, who, they've been on my channel about talking about with a family member with an addiction. They've been married for 38 years. And here we are getting to talk about what's so important to start a relationship and the tips we have. And so we got to share that and we were like, holy crap, this relationship is public. And but it gave us permission, like it gave us permission to be like, we are doing this, we're doing the right thing, we're following our hearts and we're following our guts, we're following our spirits together. And it was so cool. So at first I wrote down that I needed help with no, I'm sorry. I needed help with making my YouTube grow and helping more people free their minds. So when we got in these circles, and I got into my circle a little late because I'm going to tell you another part of this amazing day. So there was a woman who is, I'll put her Instagram name down here. It's like Sacred Light. She does light therapy. And if you've ever heard of that, it's extremely spiritual how you can transform and heal through light. I only knew this because I know Saxony started doing it and Sean and her started doing it together. And it's a trip. It's such a trip. So what you do is you lay, if you're doing it by yourself, you're by yourself. If you're doing it with your partner, I mean, your heads are very, very close. We got to do it with 4 people. My partner was one of them. So all of our heads are really close. We had our headphones on. If you have epilepsy, this is not going to be for you. Headphones on, and we just wanted to relax. And this beautiful music was playing, and all of a sudden, this like warm light was on your face, and then it was like a movement of colors and a vibration, and it was crazy. Like for a minute, I was like, "Oh, this is like a lot for me." But I knew I had to focus on something and focusing on something. And what was I looking for? What was that intention? And it was really, really cool. I want to do it again to learn more about the healing process, because I know usually these are longer sessions. We only did it in 15 minutes, but you felt different. Like you felt like it opens a part of your mind that you would not normally open up by yourself. So these lights trigger certain parts of our mind for things to release and to come forward and to heal from them. So it was such a cool experience. So when I joined my group, they're all sharing their sentence. They got to me and I was, then I got asked certain questions like, well, why do you feel this way? And I was talking about a situation with one of my episodes, how, I was saying a certain thing, but I really meant to say another thing because I was protecting a family member. And my question didn't come off right. I didn't get an answer. And so after that, Sean was like, what is your answer? Did you get help? Did you get an answer? And my partner was like, did you get your answer? And I was like, no. He's like, you need to say something, stand up and say something. And I was like, oh man, oh man. But I kept rewriting my sentence as he was talking. And all these sentences, I'm like, this is not it. This is not it. I need help with public speaking. So, but I was like, oh, I could just do this, and I could do a 30-day challenge or like a 60-day challenge of talking about my life every day on Instagram, and being super raw and transparent, which I do feel that I am. I just need to be more so. And so I was like, I need to do this for myself, but I also need to do this for my partner to know that I can stand up and be brave, right? So I raised my hand, and Sean says, what do you need help in? I said, I need help with public speaking. He goes, okay, come up here. And I was like, shit. He broke me, you guys. And he brought out something I did not know was a blockage in me. Like I can talk about it. I actually had already talked about this with my partner because our relationship started very vulnerable and we were just talking about everything, being transparent, what our goals are, how we feel about, ourselves, what we want in our partner, what we want to do with our partner, like all kinds of stuff. So he's like, why do you have trouble with that? And I explained that I don't want to hurt my family. If my family is watching and I say something that hurts them or makes them angry, I didn't want them to not be in my life anymore. And that's very, very extreme. My siblings know that I love them. My family knows that I love them. But I would die like if I didn't have them in my life and if I made them angry. But at the same time, like this is talking about real life. I can't be afraid of that. I'm here to help the one person that is watching to change their life, to be open, because vulnerability with your partner to me is like the number one thing. And that goes with communication, is showing that vulnerability back and forth with your partner, to be extremely open and to hear what your partner has to say, and they're listening to you and how you morph into a as one. And so I explained that, and Sean says, like, this is really, I mean, I might get really red again. I would look like probably the brightest tomato, brighter than any tomato you've ever seen. Like I could feel my body was so hot all the way up to here. I had a jacket on. I didn't want to take it off because I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm so embarrassed. He asked me, what is something that you never told anyone before? I was like, I'm literally an open book. I literally tell everything. And especially my girlfriends. My girlfriends know everything. But there was a thought that popped into my head right away. And I have talked about it with my girlfriends before. Um, and at first I was like, I don't know. And Sean's like, yeah, you do. So I said, and again, family members, if you're watching this, you might not want to hear me talk about this, but whatever, this is part of the human nature. I I have a hard time telling my partner what I want sexually during being sexual with my partner. I am very embarrassed. And this goes way back into my childhood. So Sean's like, why? I said, well, I was taught that everything was a sin. Why? Well, I was brought up in a Christian household. My mother said that everything that we did was a sin and you have to wait till marriage to have sex and all this stuff. And, it's bad, 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 bad. You have to follow all these rules and, your Christian, church and your parents' rules. He said, why? And that is just what they believed. And then I was like, but I also was shamed for it. I'm a very sexual human being, and I think that's beautiful. Okay. I think it's very beautiful, but I definitely didn't treat my body for, some times in my life with that respect. And I was shamed for it because at the time with Nolan, who I talked about in my very first episode, he was my first love in my life ever. And I still love him to this day because of what we shared, but I have moved on, obviously. And we had sex for the first time, I think after a year, and I wanted to talk to my mom about it. And when I did talk to her about it, she basically went crazy. She took my whole family out of the house and made me sit in the house by myself all day. She completely shamed me. She was cursing at me. She was just like, you are the devil, and just, I mean, all kinds of weird stuff. It was so verbally abusive, mentally and emotionally. It was a really crazy moment. So when I went back to church, I'm telling this story in front of not only women, I'm telling this story in front of men. So you can imagine I'm sweating balls, you guys, like just like I cannot believe I'm telling this in front of everybody. Everyone's eyes are looking at me. I'm talking about sex, you know? And so I furthermore went into, if you listen to my first episode, when I went back to church, I went to church since I was in first grade, you know, and I had my youth group and I love my youth group and I love my youth pastor and everything like that. And I walked in and nobody talked to me. Not one single person. Nobody talked to me, not the youth pastor. There was only one girl that came up to me and she said, "Brittany, your mom put in the church letter, not just to pray for my daughter. She put, will you pray for my daughter, Brittany McQuethy, for she is not a virgin anymore." So everyone knew. And because that church was so in a box when God should be outside of the box, I was shamed. So I was shamed from a massive amount of people. I was shamed from my mom. And so really, I didn't really think it was okay for me to enjoy that. And so it was a huge issue, and it did become an issue for me mentally for like 10 years and still today. And so um and then I talked about how this is again very embarrassing. I They were like, "Well, when, when did something change for you?" And I said, "Well, when I was like 22 years old." Sorry, I don't know if you can hear this, but I forgot to put my phone on silent mode, so I apologize for that. If you can hear the little ding noise, I might need to get my phone because it's all my girlfriends texting us at one time, and you know how they are, they text like 50 times. So, so my girlfriend, I was 22 or something, and I went to San Francisco with all my girlfriends, and they knew that I had this thing about me, like I didn't know what like pleasuring yourself was and all this stuff. I knew about it, but I didn't do that, because that's a sin. And they made me go to a sex shop and walk around with a toy from bar to bar. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, like your friends are amazing." I said that, yeah, they are. They are. Because you should not be ashamed of who you are and what you want and what you desire, because we are made to have sex with another person. That is how we are. That is how we are born, you guys. That is how we make children. It's a beautiful thing. Um, and so, then, Sean's like, "What do you want? Like, what do you want to say? Like, how are you going to say this?" And I said what I wanted, and I'm just so afraid in the moment to actually say it. And so, but I already know with my partner, I'm going to be able to break that, with him someday. It's like one step at a time. I talked to him about it. I was like, I can say yes or no. Start there. But the reality was that I have a blockage on my root chakra. And if I am not fully able to express myself, how can I fully have an amazing sexual experience with my partner if I can't let go of something? Because yes, I'm transparent. Yes, I'm vulnerable by my mouth and how I feel, but I'm not being vulnerable with my root chakra. So, as embarrassing as this sounds, I had so many people come up to me afterwards and said, "Brittany, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I struggle with that." I had a man come up to me, "Brittany, I struggle with that, because I was brought up in the same way." So, and it's a struggle with my wife and I. I had women come up to me like, I was shamed because I'm a sexual person. I was shamed for this. Like, that was so beautiful. And there's so many women and men who struggle with this. And it's a real thing. And that's why I thought it was important for me to continue to share this story with you, as embarrassing and as vulnerable as it gets, because we don't talk about it enough. It's a part of our makeup. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of connecting with our partner, and connecting with your partner sexually is spiritual. It's beautiful. And God made us to be able to share those intimate moments with our partners and with ourselves. So if you struggle with that, I did meet someone at the line at the group, and she actually does these classes and with just you, and she literally knows how to break the blockages in whatever chakras that you're dealing with. So I'm really excited that I get to work with her someday. I haven't yet. But I'm like, yeah, like I'm open, I'm willing to receive, because the whole time with the intention of meeting my partner um in person, because we've had this beautiful friendship for a while, which was just talking, maybe talking on the phone, being our biggest cheerleaders, talking about the hard times, the good times, what we want, what we don't want, and I just went into that last week with, I'm going to be present, and I'm not going to think about anything else but being present and being open to receive what I need. And I feel reborn. Standing in front of all those people effing broke me. It broke me. That is the most deepest, darkest, most intimate thing about me that makes me uncomfortable, but I'm growing to be comfortable with it. And if you struggle with that, please reach out to me, and I can help you, and I can talk about it with you, because I'm growing in this area too, or I can uh, tell you who you should talk to about this, because it's real, you guys. This is so real. It's so intimate. And being, again, intimate, it's not just being intimate with your partner, it's being intimate with yourself and letting go. And when you love yourself and you can let go from any blockages in your chakras with your partner, I promise you that connection is a bond for life. And though I haven't gotten crazy to that point yet, I know I'm getting to that point, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited I get to share this with my partner, and I'm excited to share this with the partner I am with now. Um, so it's it's really hard to open up. And I love Sean Whalen for that. I love Saxony Whalen for that, because they make me and they make others feel comfortable with sharing the deepest, darkest things that they need to break. And, you know, sometimes Sean yells, and sometimes he gets really deep, but it's because he's so passionate. He wants to get inside your mind and your heart to really find, like, what exactly does this sentence mean? Like, I didn't know. I thought I was just going to go up there and talk about whatever, because that's part of public speaking. I had no idea he was going to pull that. But that is his gift. That is his gift. And he has such a beautiful gift, and Saxony does too. They're such a beautiful couple. And they have an amazing podcast, you guys. It's called the Sean and Sax Show. And if you are struggling in your relationship, you can obviously listen to them. If you're struggling in your relationship too, Scott and Ann Travis, they have a relationship coaching group for partners that are struggling in their relationship, or they just want to level up and learn from people who have 36, 38 years of experience. It's putting yourself on that next level to become the best that you can be, to become the best partner you can be, to be in the best relationship with yourself and with your partner. And actually, my partner and I, this is something that we talked about before when we were friends. Like, if we ever were in a relationship again, hell yeah, I'm going to be in Scott and Ann's coaching group, because I know that most people who are been married for a long time, they talk about, I wish I would have like made my foundation stronger in the beginning. So I was like, hey, you want to do this with me? And he's like, yep. So it's just going to help us grow stronger right in the beginning, to open us up fully for ourselves and for each other. And that's what it was about, you know. And there was an ongoing trend too of like men and women, again, talking about how they don't love themselves and how they hate themselves. And, you know, so everyone, because it was such a small, intimate group, we got to talk to each other and help each other and bring out questions. It wasn't just Sean. Like Sean sometimes, and Saxony, were sometimes in a moment just listening to everyone helping each other. It was a spiritual connection, it was an energetic connection, it was a vibration, and it was all becoming coming from love. And when you're around like-minded people who want to level up with their business, with their bodies, with their mentality and their relationships, like, these people become your family because they all want you to win. And I want you to win. And this is why I have my channel, because I want you to win. I want you to break free from your programming. I want you to feel free. And I learned through that weekend that part of being free for me is knowing I am enough. And knowing that I can do whatever I want in this life to make it the best relationship with myself possible. That is being ultimately free, and then some. So with that said, to close up this conversation, I hope you learned a lot. I definitely felt more comfortable telling this story. I didn't get as red. Thank you very much. I actually had a Lions Den Colorado meetup on Saturday, and I did share this story. And because I knew that the more I shared it and talked about it in front of just random people, that now, I mean, I know them kind of, and you know, and talk about it. One of the wives of this couple, she was like, oh, I'm never going to fly. And I'm like, that's why I need to go. That's why I need to go. You know, I was reborn. I was completely reborn, and it feels great. I feel enlightened. I feel like I can conquer anything, and I can't wait to see the progress with myself and with my partner. I'm so excited for this chapter in my life, because I feel I have no worries. I'm just going to continue to push and push and push and push and push that game of being successful in every way, shape, or form, with my business, with my body, with my mentality, and my relationships. And I know that, like, with my partner, he wants the same things. And so we get to do it together and individually. And it's a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing. And so I'm excited with the future. I feel very calm. My partner makes me feel at home. And so, and I feel at home within myself for the first time. And I knew I have been growing tremendously this year because of my coaching group. I know that I'm pushing myself to go above and beyond with loving myself more. And I do love myself, but I really, really do. And again, it has taken me a long time to get there, but I can love myself more. And loving myself more and having a partner that loves who he is as well, and moving forward in these directions, just, it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. So again, you guys, thank you for listening and watching. If you felt uncomfortable with me talking about these things, then that means maybe you need to talk about these things with somebody or myself. Because it's hard to talk about, but it's who we are. It's who you are. So take this week to maybe write down 10 things that you need to be vulnerable with yourself, and tell your friend. Tell your sister, tell your best friend, tell your partner. If you're married, tell your husband, or tell your wives. Tell them, I want to be vulnerable in this area, and speak your truth. Be transparent. We can't hide behind a wall. And our partners will always see that, whether they see it with what we say or how we act. You will be in the best relationship with yourself and your partner if you are extremely transparent and you're extremely vulnerable. So, anyways, kick ass this week. Very excited for this week. Starting to get cold here, you guys. Fall is here. I love fall. You get to see the yellow trees, the orange trees, and the fire trees, which means they're like so bright red. They're just so beautiful. It's just brings me so much joy to see these fall colors. So, and that is the trees showing you that they have the ability to change and be beautiful. So go out there and be beautiful, be transparent, speak your truth, and love who you are. I love you guys. Take care. We will talk to you next time.